Hey there, it's Dave with FlipperForce, and I'm excited to announce that we just launched nationwide property and owner data that gets you access to data on over 150 million properties and 99% of property owners across the country. So now you're going to have access to hundreds of data points about the property and insider information about who the owner is, so you can have all the data that you need to negotiate the best deal with the seller. So let's show you how it works. Whenever you add a new project to FlipperForce, we're going to automatically download hundreds of data points about the property specs, as well as download inside owner information about who owns the property, how much they paid for the property, and even tell you if they have a mortgage on the property. So I just added a new project here, 11629 Knox Street, which is here in Kansas City. And if you click on the property info tab, this is where you're going to find all of that property data that we just downloaded. So if you click on property specs here, this is where you'll find information about the property type. So you can see this is a single family property. It's a raised ranch. It didn't find the basement information, but we got some drop down menus in here that you can use to easily select the basement type. It has a parking, so it does have a garage here, and it was built in 1984. If you scroll down, you'll even find the structure specs. So this is where you'll find out the number of stories, the number of rooms in the property, the number of garages. You can see it's a 3,300 square foot property with 4 beds and 3 full baths. And then down below, you'll even have information about the lot size. So previously, you'd have to go and look up all this information manually on Redfin or Zillow. Now, all of this structural information about the property will automatically be downloaded into FlipperForce for you. That will hopefully save you several minutes of your time doing research on that kind of information. If you click on construction specs, it dives even deeper to how the property was built. So you can see the building quality was designated as a C+ property in average condition. It's a wood framed property with asphalt composition shingles. The exterior walls are a combination, so I'm assuming that means there's a combination of brick and plywood siding here. Interior walls, we didn't get that information. Again, all of this information comes from the county, so if they've got it, we're going to give it to you. But we can probably make some assumptions there. Since this property was built in 1984, it's probably gypsum board walls there, drywall instead of plaster, and then the foundation is probably concrete walls. You can see the water source is a public water source for water and sewer, and then we can again maybe make some assumptions on central gas or furnace, or maybe look some of this information up on Zillow or Redfin if it doesn't populate. If we go over here to communities and schools, this is where you'll find the information about the municipality. You'll also find the information about the subdivision where the property is located, the zoning information, and the school information. So you can see it's in the Blue Valley School District. And you'll also find information about the HOA. So this Indian Creek Estates, they charge $285 per year for their HOA dues. And then finally, we've got our tax assessments. This is all the county assessment values here, as well as the annual property tax that you're going to have to pay for the property. So that's all great data there. It's going to save you a bunch of time looking up all this property data individually. But what I'm really excited about is the lead info data. So if you click on this lead info, this is where you're going to find the owner information that we download. So whenever you add a new property, we're also going to go out and download information about who currently owns the property. So you can see here, this property appears to be owned by an LLC, HPA Borrower LLC, and it looks like they're located in Chicago. So this property is in Kansas City, but they're located in Chicago. If we scroll down, we've got some motivated seller indicators. So these are going to tell us information about who they are. So you can see it's saying that this is an absentee owner and they're out of state, and it's a corporation, and it appears they bought the property as a cash buyer, so they own it free and clear and obviously have high equity. So those are just to indicate at a high level why this owner of the property might be motivated to sell the property. So it looks like we're dealing with maybe a professional landlord or professional real estate investor that owns this particular property here, and they are an out-of-state owner. So maybe if the property is in bad shape, not being very well taken care of, might be worth reaching out to this owner to see if they're going to be motivated to sell the property, since they are out of state and not doing a very good job of keeping up with their property. You can also see owner demographics. So we actually downloaded some demographics on who owns the property. So it appears this owner might be 28 years old. They might be married, and you can even see their financial information. So again, just kind of insider information on who you might be dealing with if you were to go out and reach out to this person to see if they're going to be motivated. Mortgage information. So again, this property was apparently bought free and clear, so they bought it as a cash buyer. So this property right here doesn't necessarily have any mortgage information, but let's go check out the ownership history. It does look like this company bought the property in 2019 here, and it looks like they bought it from a different LLC, and it's very similar to their LLC name, so I'm wondering if they just did some kind of internal transfer there. You can also see the recording information here. Unfortunately, we don't have the sale amount, so if you're in a non-disclosure state like Missouri, Kansas, I believe Texas, and there's a few others, some of the sale amounts won't come through at the public records. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but there's just no guarantee that we're going to have that information on non-disclosure states, because it's not required to disclose the sale amounts in those states. So just keep in mind, if you are in those states, you may not get the sale amount information there. So a lot of interesting insights here to help inform us as to who owns the property and maybe help us negotiate the deal. So I'm going to add in a couple different projects here just so you can see some different scenarios when we are dealing with somebody who's maybe not a corporation. Maybe it's somebody that is just a typical homeowner here. So let's add in a different property. So 11604 Earnshaw Street. Okay, another property here in Kansas City. So I'm going to add this property in here. Again, if we click on property info, we automatically downloaded all of these nice property specs here, so we've got that at our fingertips if we need it. But let's go check out that lead info and owner info here. And so you can see this property is owned by a gentleman by the name of Daniel Martins de Martins, and the owner address appears to be the same. So they are living in the property. They currently own the property. They are 38 years old. You can see their financial information here as well. Let's go check out this mortgage info. So the mortgage info is actually pretty interesting here. You can really see a lot of insights into when they took out the mortgage, what lender they even got the mortgage through, and you can even see their balances and their payment amounts here. So you can see in May of 2020, Mr. Daniel, he took out a loan with Wells Fargo Bank. It was a 30-year mortgage, and you can see the original loan balance was $232,000, and the estimated balance today is only $221,000, so he's paid it down about $10,000 over the last couple years. And you can even see his payment amount and his payment rate that he has locked in. So a lot of interesting insights there to see how much they still owe on the property. So if there was maybe a seller that was selling a property, or maybe you're negotiating an off-market deal, you'd be able to see how much they still owe on the property, which could help inform you what you should offer. And if we click on history here, you can also see when they bought the property. So it actually looks like Daniel bought the property way back in 2009, and maybe something changed as far as title on the county records back in 2018. So it looks like maybe they got a new mortgage or something in 2018. And so that's probably goes back to this mortgage info here. I think they probably refinanced or got a loan on the property. So again, a lot of interesting insights that you can glean from the ownership history, the property history, and the mortgage info, as well as taking a peek at the motivated seller indicators that will help inform you whether the owner of the property might be motivated to sell the property. So let's add in one or two more here. Add in another property here. Again, another property here in Kansas City. So again, I'm assuming the property info all downloaded for us, which is sweet. Automatically did that. But let's go check out the lead info and the owner info. Okay, so here we are. We can see that the owner of the property is Stephen Packard and Natasha Packard. So they've got low equity. It looks like they're 52 years old. You can see their financial information here. Let's go check out the mortgage information. So let's also check out the sales history. So it looks like they bought it all the way back in 2014. But one thing I'm noticing on this one is that they have a mortgage here in 2022, so I'm wondering if they refinanced or did some kind of HELOC here, because it looks like it's a 10-year loan term, and you can see their original loan balance, their estimated balance here, and their loan payment and everything. So since they bought it all the way back in 2014, but just recently got a mortgage on the property, I'm wondering if they did some kind of refinance there. So again, kind of some interesting insights there. You can also see that they bought it for $203,000, and so they're getting a mortgage on it for $449,000. So some pretty substantial increases in the overall either property value and the total debt that they got on the property, and that's why you might be seeing here that the loan to value ratio here is actually higher here. So they've got a loan on the property, or an estimated loan balance, that is higher than what the estimated value of the property is. So again, you can use all this information to help you negotiate a deal with a seller of the property, and see if there might be some ways that you can negotiate a deal with them. See if there's some ways that reasons why they might be motivated to sell the property. Now I'm just going to show you one more here. I believe this is another corporate owned property. So I'm going to take you all the way down to sunny Florida here. Bradenton, Florida. We like to travel down there with the family. So I want to check out this property here. This property is down here. Could be a potential rental property. Who knows? So again, property info. We got it for you. Sweet. Awesome. Downloaded it in a matter of seconds. Let's go check out the lead info. This is where the real value, I think, is for everyone. So if we click on the owner information, we can see that this property is owned by a corporation. So this is a property that I found on Zillow. They're trying to rent it out. I just wanted to see who owned the property. So you can see it's owned by Bolton Properties here, and they're actually out of Indiana. So they are an absentee owner. They're out of state because this property is in Florida and they're in Indiana. It's corporate owned by Bolton Properties, and they've got a mortgage, cash buyer, free and clear. So that's kind of interesting, because if they're a cash buyer and they've got liens, there might be something going on there. I'm not really sure. So let's go check that out. You can see that from the demographics perspective, they are 69 years old, and they've got a household of 2, and they're potentially married. So now we kind of know who we're dealing with. So it does say this property is free and clear, so I'm not really sure why it was telling us that there's a mortgage or a lien on the property. There might be some other hidden information there that we need to look up as far as like a lien or something's concerned. Now if we click over on history, again, you can kind of get some more information on when the property was purchased. So you can see this property was actually purchased just recently, back in July. So it was purchased by the Bolton Properties from, looks like, a seller that owned the property for 24 years. So they bought it from them, and now they have converted it into a rental. You can see they bought it for $345,000 here. So again, a bunch of information at your fingertips, so you can really see how much a owner of a property has bought the property for, what kind of mortgage information whether they've got a mortgage on the property and stuff like that, so you can see what kind of debt they're dealing with. And then all of this information can really help inform you as to why the seller might be motivated to sell the property, and that'll help you negotiate the deal. So we hope you love our new property data and owner data. Over the course of the next couple months, we're going to try to use all of this property data that we've got, not just for information purposes, but start building it into our flip analyzer tools, displaying this information in other places, and really help this data help you drive your financial decisions when you're making an offer for the property. So if you have any feedback on this, just let us know. Appreciate it. See ya.